What's going on, you guys? Theo here with the big review, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video. It's Monday, so happy Monday to all of you. I hope you all enjoyed your weekends. It is the day before the 7 Deadly Sins collaboration will be officially added into the game, and therefore we have a maintenance notice in the forums that we're going to be taking a look at that gives us a little bit more information on what we can expect. We're going to talk about an unfortunate byproduct of the way the game has kind of gone the past year that a lot of people have not really been talking about, and I wanted to shine a little bit of light on. And then we are also going to take a look at a bit of a potential leak that also happened with that official Netmarble office tour video that was posted a few days ago. But before we jump into all that, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. So let's go ahead and get into this maintenance notice. So as you can tell here, this is going to be the 329 KOF All-Star maintenance notice that was posted by CM Yuri just a couple of hours ago on the official forum, and provides us with a little bit of additional information when it comes to this collaboration that we'll be getting tomorrow. So as you can see here, it is going to be happening tonight. It is looking like 329 at 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you will need to go ahead and adjust accordingly for your preferred time zone. Make sure that you guys, as always, get your dailies done early today. That way you do not miss out on any of your in-game resources, and it is always going to be a good idea to try and do that earlier than what time is posted, because you never know when they might surprise you. So just in case, make sure you do it. Now, when it comes to some of the things that they have listed here, we're just going to kind of briefly go through, because a lot of this isn't stuff that we all knew, but a lot of it is stuff that we had pretty much assumed was going to happen. So when it comes to this, there's not a lot of surprises, but it does mention that we will be getting new fighters added as well as battle cards. We pretty much already knew that this was the case. It's a collaboration, so duh. Now, when it comes to the imprint stone line here, we knew that we were going to be getting imprint stones, but we also see that we are going to be getting new hammers. So they will be adding their very own hammers for the 7 Deadly Sins stones, which is always very nice. It's nice that we can use those instead of our own hammers that we've been trying to save up, because, well, those don't just grow on trees, you know. So next up, we have a new event will be added. I'm assuming that this is probably that Team Relay-esque dungeon that we saw on the Korean live stream that we had talked about in the live stream breakdown the other day. Link will be in the description for that video if you have not seen it, but I would assume that that will be the event that they're talking about there. And then we are getting new packages added. I'm assuming that, being that all it did was list the one celebration event there, I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff that once they post the detailed breakdown, and they're probably holding off on a lot of this stuff because a lot of this is probably what Travis is going to show off later on today in the live stream. So I'm assuming that they're just holding all of that back and not giving us a lot of details. That's not just going to be one event that's going to be added with this collaboration. So we'll just have to wait and see tonight with the live stream what else we're going to be looking at. But when it comes to these new packages being added, you pretty much can set your watch to if there's an update, there's going to be new packages. So really not a lot in here that I'm seeing that gives us a lot of information on anything potentially exciting. We'll have to wait and see whenever this update drops and talk about what these look like and see if they are worth your hard-earned money. We always like to take a look at those once they go live in the in-game shop, so we'll do that tomorrow if we have time in that video. But you never know with those collaboration breakdown videos, they tend to be a little bit long, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm already expecting it to be a two-part video, so time will tell. Next up, it's going to say content improvements and system improvements and error fixes, so they don't really go into a whole lot of detail on any of that in here as to what those errors are, what that content improvement means, but I'm sure that, again, once we get a more detailed breakdown, all of the answers to these questions will be had. But that is pretty much what you're seeing here. There's not a lot of information in here. The biggest thing that we can pretty much take away from this that we might not have already known is the fact that we will be getting exclusive hammers yet again. So this precedent was set by 7 Knights with the collaboration stones there, as well as the enhancement hammers that they gave us for that collaboration. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I still have like 100 of those hammers laying around, so that I didn't need. But yeah, so hopefully it'll all look good. They had mentioned on the Korean website for the collaboration that we would be able to farm the hammers, so we'll have to wait and see here what we're looking at. But this is exciting stuff. We won't have to use our gold hammers or any of our normal hammers, so that's always nice. But whenever the global live stream ends tonight, we will have a brief video touching on and talking about a lot of the information that was gone over there, and I will be bringing you guys, of course, the codes that will come along with that as well. Hopefully they are generous with us and we don't have to deal with Baphomet or Ghost Mask Travis or whatever the heck you want to call him tonight as well. Let's hope he's retired that. But let's go ahead and talk about the main topic of today's video that I've really been wanting and intending on making a video about for the past several days, but with everything that's been going on, I couldn't find time to really fit it in. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. Pertains to the dimension exchange and the kind of the regression of the gold border characters in general in KOF Allstar, because this was a topic that came up in conversation in the comments section of a video I posted last week quite a bit, and I had to kind of explain my point on it several times in the comment section. So I wanted to briefly talk about it today in this video on the eve of this collaboration, because I feel like it is timely to talk about this here. But when it comes to the dimension exchange, particularly as it pertains to the envelopes as well as the AS characters proper, I want to kind of talk about that first, and then we'll talk about just kind of what this all means for gold borders going forward in the future in general. But for those of you who have not been around the game for very long, it used to be during collaborations, and actually during collaborations in general back in the day, we never got Fest characters. All we got were gold border characters. That's what collaboration characters were for a brief period of time towards the beginning of the game. So we're talking, for instance, your Tekken collaborations, which you can't really count Geese whatsoever in that. I know he was released around the same time, and he's technically DLC in Tekken 7, but he doesn't count. He was not a Tekken collaboration character. Then you get into your Samurai Showdowns, which, again, Nakaruru, yes, she is tied intrinsically to the Samurai Showdown IP, but she was not a collaboration character proper as well. That can be evidenced by the fact that she is on the Unified banner to this day. You know, all of these different collaborations back in the day, and even before we got reruns for collaborations such as Gintama. Gintama, yes, when we got it, had best characters added in for its second run, but in Korea it was the second run, and therefore they had already had it, and when they had it originally, it was all gold border characters too. So I wanted to talk about that because I'm not complaining about the fact that we're getting best characters instead of gold border characters now. That is not something I would ever complain about. That's obviously a good thing. But the thing is it's a sign of other things going on in the game. So it used to be that gold border characters we would see quite often added in, and in particular whenever they decided to go ahead and allow us to exchange for these envelopes and be able to awaken these characters easier than others. That was definitely a welcome change to the game. A lot of people really took advantage of those gold border characters at the time, especially if they were new players, because, and even veterans to a lesser extent take advantage of them also, because they are easy characters to build up and they are really good for rounding out teams for things like high tier Reviving Hell's Dungeon if you need a particular type of character and color for that, so on and so forth. And a lot of people look forward to those characters for those reasons, because it makes it a lot easier for them to be able to invest into Reviving Hell's Dungeon and get through it without having to kind of build up all these Fest characters, which can be very resource heavy. And unfortunately, we've talked about it on the Korean side quite a bit. I have quite a few friends who play on the Korean server, and they have discussed, because for them, it has been far longer for them even than us as far as getting new gold border characters. Something that people really need to kind of keep in mind is, while yes, we have had new gold border characters added in for us on the global side in the past year or so, such as if you want to take a look here at your Kasumis of the world, or even the new Athena that was added in recently. Yes, those were new characters for us, but those were reruns for the Korean side. On the Korean side, that was just back content for us. So what it basically is showing at this point on the Netmarble side of things is they are trying their hardest to get away from gold border characters. Now, whether or not that is a purposeful choice or if that was a deliberate choice, I cannot speak to that. Obviously, I do not have any background information on what is going on the other side when it comes to Netmarble and their decision making. But it definitely is not a good thing overall. Now, yes, like I've mentioned, it is good that we are no longer just getting collaborations that are nothing but gold border characters. That's not something I would ever complain about. However, it does signal that they want you to be dependent upon Fest characters entirely to get through a lot of this content. And while these gold border characters that we've always had will always be here, it is unfortunate that they have gotten away from adding those in, because there's a lot of kind of residual issues that are bred from it, particularly as it pertains to kind of the pool when it comes to summoning for collaborations, because it used to be that we would have kind of gold border characters sprinkled in, and then we would have our main Fest units for our collaborations. So think back to like the Gintama event. And it was a lot easier for us to pinpoint, zero in, and get some of these Fest characters before, because we didn't have such a diluted pool. You know, when you have a banner that only has 1 or 2 Fest characters on it, and then you have the rest of the new characters being gold border characters, it definitely stops diluting the pool as much as if you have 3 or 4 Fest characters on a banner. And while we haven't gotten any more than 3 per banner on a collaboration yet, this being the second collaboration that we've had so far that has really strayed away from the gold border setup, it does signal that I think gold border characters are no longer going to be coming with collaborations in general, which basically means that invitations and saving AS characters, which is what you see here, this is pretty much the results of months of me saving AS memories in order to make these exchanges for these invitations in case of a new collaboration. I think that these are no longer going to be anything that we need to worry about anymore. I think that if you don't already have all of your back catalog of collaboration characters that are worth building up done, that you definitely take advantage, but I don't think that we need to be hoarding these anymore. Now, this doesn't take into account maybe a rerun down the road of, say, for instance, a Tekken or a Samurai Showdown or whatever the case may be. Now, that way you can maybe consider saving some of these for that and down the road in the future. But I really do think that the writing's on the wall for gold border characters in general at this point. I think that they've pretty much shown us that they are no longer invested into the gold border system of characters, which is unfortunate because it definitely, on the surface level for new players whenever they download the game, they may not notice that, but something if they do notice it, they might catch on to is the fact that really this game now is predicated upon you getting as many good Fest characters as humanly possible to really get anywhere. At least that seems to be what Netmarble wants. And while I understand that they are your highest rarity of character, so therefore that's typically going to be the case with any gacha game, it really is unfortunate that they don't have better budget options or newer budget options in the game anymore, because a lot of people that are free to play definitely look for those and they looked forward to those. And being that they could easily throw these types of things into these collaborations, it is going to be something that I feel like is to the detriment of the game overall. Now, is it something that is a major issue that is going to breed some sort of cancerous repercussion down the road? I don't necessarily think so, but it definitely does make it funny that they added this system in and then kind of just killed it on arrival, because really now this is just going to be used for back content, like I've said, and nothing else. So if you have all of your old past collaboration characters built up to the point you want them at, you know, say your tier 5s, your tier 4s, and you want to start using these to exchange out for kind of generic Fest memories and try your luck at maybe getting a memory for a character you need that way or something of that nature, I think you're pretty safe to do that anymore. I don't really foresee them breaking this habit at this point. It's now been 2 collaborations in a row. We haven't seen gold border characters added in, and that pretty much means that these old invitations are pretty much going to be just for your back catalog and nothing else. So that is a topic I really wanted to kind of suss out more and kind of go into more detail on, because a lot of people had asked me, because I had briefly made the point of it the other day and I didn't go into detail, and I wanted to kind of lay all that out because I do think that there are issues there to be spoken of, but it is something that I think a lot of people overlook as well and haven't really paid much attention to, albeit probably because people really just want the best characters. But while I agree with that, I do think that there are good points to be made about gold borders being important. So let's go ahead now and segue into a piece of news that's been floating around for the past few days that I haven't had a chance to talk about, and that actually does also pertain to that video that we were given the other day with the Netmarble office tour, and that is going to be as it pertains to Shun'Ei potentially being spotted on a monitor in that video. Now, we're going to chalk all of this up to reckless speculation at this point in the video, but this is a detail that had been floating around and spotted a few days ago, and I would credit whoever had originally spotted it if I knew who it was, but it's been running around like rampant, so I'm not exactly sure who it was that this originated from. So whoever you are out there, you're the real MVP. But as you can tell from this very blurry screenshot that was taken from the Netmarble office tour video that was posted the other day, and we did a breakdown on that video, although this was something that came out and was spotted far after the fact, so we did not mention this in that video, but there is a bit of information that was mentioned in that discussion that will play into this potentially. But this definitely looks like Shun'Ei. And for those of you who did not see my video a few months ago, I had done a video talking about the top 5 characters that I wanted to see added in 2021 as Fest fighters. Shun'Ei was on that list, so I'm very excited to see that he is potentially being worked on in the background. Now, there are a few things that you look for when it comes to Shun'Ei that are very unique to him, mainly his hair color, as well as just the color palette of his character design in general. And when you take a look at this very blurry photo, it does tend to look like Shun'Ei that they are taking a look at there. Now, obviously, this is again all speculation. We don't have any confirmation, but considering the fact that Mei Tenkun, who is intrinsically tied to Shun'Ei in one way, shape, or form from KOF 14, and then also in KOF 15 as one of his teammates on Team China, and then on Team Hero with the newest installment. It is very curious that we see both of these characters potentially in the background images. Time will tell if they are going to be released kind of around the same time or at all, but it definitely appears as though they are going to be given some love to Team China, which is definitely going to be cool to see. So that is going to be today's video, guys. We are going to be back later on tonight after the global live stream, briefly going over what was talked about there and giving you guys those codes, so that way we can just focus on purely the collaboration update tomorrow, because I get the feeling that could be a 2-part video, but we'll have to wait and see. Who knows? I might be able to talk a lot long enough and fast enough in order to get through it all in one. But either way, like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. You all enjoy your day. Peace.
Continue.